what we've seen throughout the community is a whole lot of anxiety disappear for the last 2 weeks. We've also seen people go back out to the CBD and go to restaurants. So I think that we need to remember the 2 weeks preceding the curfew, we've seen two young men tragically lose their lives and a 16-year-old girl horrendously bashed. And we haven't had those statistics, so I would say it's absolutely working.
And how do you feel about this extension?
Yeah, I, like many in the community, welcome the extension. The Chief Minister's showed a tremendous amount of leadership, in my opinion, to extend it, to take us through school holidays. I, like many in the community, think that it's a fantastic idea, and we've seen a lot of proactive policing. We've seen the resources out in the community and engaging, and I think that the longer that it's in, the more beneficial it'll be for Alice Springs.
It doesn't seem exactly clear what's going to happen from Tuesday next week with longer term plans. What do you make of what's been said about that so far?
Yeah, I mean, that's the challenge, isn't it? The long-term plans and medium-term plans we always talk about, but we can't get there. People can't see the light at the end of the tunnel while we're in an emergency situation, which is now, this has been going on for a very long time. So the long and medium-term things are fine, but we just need to get through this. And we know summer, the weather changes, crime again ramps up. So we just needed a breath as a community, and it's been a very welcome change. If this is the new normal, absolutely, the community welcomes it.
And so what do you want to happen from next Tuesday? Do you want the current police levels to continue?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I've been saying it till I'm blue in the face that we don't have enough police. We've seen announcements last week of more coming. However, that will take, a few years till we see boots on the ground. The current level of police we have right now is the exact number we need, because it is having a dramatic effect, and an effect in the right way. We've got to remember, police unfortunately spend 80% of their time in Alice Springs on domestic violence cases. That's a horrendous number, and if we can stop a lot of those things happening before they happen, I think we will all be better off.
And so have you got any guarantees about the current policing numbers continuing after next Tuesday?
No, look, I had a very good conversation with the Chief Minister today, and been back and forth with the Police Minister, but we'll certainly touch base. And, it's no secret from me to them that I've been asking for police for a long time. And I do want to say thank you to the police who've come from other jurisdictions, and thank you to the police in Alice Springs who have been working dramatically hard to keep us all safe. It's something we're very grateful for.
Yeah, but at a minimum, it sounds like that's what you say needs to continue happening from next Tuesday.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, the community are begging for it to continue because of the positive impact. Now, we all know, we all understand the resourcing is the massive challenge to implement the proactive stuff as need be. But look, quite clearly the levels we have now are the levels that work. And so we need to try to stay at these levels for as long as we possibly can. And as I said, I am very aware that we've taken them from other jurisdictions, especially in the Northern Territory, who are also having a bit of a hard time. But, I've got to stand up for the community that's elected me and that I represent, and that's Alice Springs.
Yeah, but you wouldn't think that the curfew itself would need to extend beyond next Tuesday?
I think that's a broader picture, right? So, I mean, if you're under the age of 18, at any time after 6 p.m, you'll be taken to a safe place or the police station or XYZ. Now, the question you have to ask yourself going forward is, what happens if there is a 7 or 8-year-old on the street at 3 a.m? They should be picked up and looked after. And I think that's the story we need to unpack and people need to understand. It's actually about the safety of the children. And I touched on the domestic violence numbers before. We know that some of these kids, unfortunately, come to the street because it is safer for them to be there. And that's the uncomfortable conversation we need to have. Why is that happening? And if they can't go home, then we as a community or levels of government need to provide houses or safe places for those kids to go.
And what's this 2-week period been like in terms of all the groups in Alice Springs getting together and discussing solutions like you just talked about there? Has it been a moment of unity for the community on that front?
Yeah, there was a community meeting on Monday. I didn't attend, but with all regards, it was a well-held meeting, and we'll look to see what comes of that. You do need to also remember that we've had 48 million announced from the Prime Minister last year for emergency funding, but also behind that sits $250 million for funding to be rolled out in Central Australia, being built from the ground up. So they're actually consulting with the community, building infrastructure, education, those sort of things, which I think is much needed in remote communities in Alice Springs.
What about this report on police resourcing and culture that was also released today? An extra 200 police over 4 years, and the continuation of police auxiliary liquor inspectors at bottle-os and private security guards around particular areas of concern, and the government picking up 15 of the 18 recommendations. How did you feel about that overall?
Yeah, I think I certainly welcome, especially the police numbers. I mean, the police on the bottle shops, whether they're pallies or they're fully fledged constables, provide a dramatic impact into Alice Springs. What their role is to limit people. If you're in a restricted area, that you can't purchase alcohol. If you're in a community, now that's a conversation in itself. However, what we seen last year with the Stronger Futures lapsing is absolute carnage in Alice Springs, and so the police auxiliary officers on bottle shops prevent that. Without them, we do see a dramatic increase of alcohol. But I think that what also needs to happen with that is the banned drinkers register certainly needs to be reformed. And I think that we've got an election this year. I think that both sides will take it to the election that they will reform it, because it certainly needs to. And as I touched on, I just want to say again, the police do a marvellous job here in Alice Springs, from the Aboriginal liaison officers to the community police officers to fully fledged sworn constables. It's all amazing. And over the last 2 weeks, we couldn't be happier and more proud of the police force.